And welcome to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast. I am joined today with Brendan, and we could say this is volume 5 of Brendan's recovery. The episodes are they're not released as they're recorded. Maybe I will start recording Brendan's recovery episodes, but today, Brendan is still on the wagon. And he's having a bit of a hard time today.
A very, very hard time.
Yeah. So he was already feeling like and then he went to a meeting and now he feels like
Well,
you know?
The reason because of that is the guy, and I see him all the time. He's blind, right? And he's been in the program for a while, but he has type 1 diabetes. He had juvenile diabetes like me, but this was 20 years ago. Like when he had it, he was, he's older than me, way older. So like 50 or something, or maybe like 20 years older than me. And he's blind, and he told his story and about how pretty much the same thing happened to him. He started getting the black spots in his eyes. He had like 19 surgeries, and then by the end of all the surgeries, he just went completely blind. And he's like, but I still see, so I'm going to do this and help others. And I'm thinking to myself while I'm sitting there, I'm like, if I just went blind, I'd probably drink and then kill myself. Like, and then like that was my frame of mind. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, well, this whole like sobriety doesn't even feel worth it to me with my fucking eyeballs working. Let alone if I went blind, right. I don't know what I'd do with myself.
Shut the fuck up for 1 second. So basically what you're telling me is that you had this older guy who got like diabetically induced blindness, and he came up, told a story, and you basically projected your own experience onto that as if that was going to be your fate, right? That's pretty much what
I
you
got
did.
The same disease, and I had the same thing starting to happen with my eyes, and it is a progressive thing with the eyes of a diabetic.
Yeah, but by that logic, you should have, if you're talking about like what your fate is by demographic, just from you being a white boy in Staten Island should have meant you should have OD'd a long time ago on pills.
True. I could have.
So you can't look at it through like categorization like that. It doesn't work. That's not how life works. You just did that because you have an active imagination and there wasn't anyone around to tell you, no, Bren, you're thinking stupid fucking things just because this guy's a diabetic, just because he drank a lot, you think you're going to end up like him. That's fucking retarded. It's the same thing that Anakin like kind of fell into. It's like, oh, this is my fate. And it wouldn't have been his fate if he didn't think it was his fate.
True. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it became self-fulfilling. And if I continued on, if I just right now, say if I just thought, okay, this is happening to my eyes, so fuck it, and I just started drinking more again, right?
Yeah.
And if I was drinking more, I have to be honest, my blood sugars are not good when I'm drinking. It's either the drinking affects it, my inability to eat correctly affects it while I'm in the cups, or I just don't give a shit about what my blood sugar is because I don't feel it. Like right now, if my blood sugar went to 300, I feel sluggish and irritable. But if I had like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 drinks in me, I wouldn't feel the negative effects from a high blood sugar. I wouldn't give a shit.
Look, all I'm saying is, okay, so you know your own shit. I'm just saying, just don't look at other people and think that's going to be your outcome. It's like not a healthy way to live.
Now, the recovery community, yes, I am smoking a marijuana cigarette right now, which I may have to give up. But for right now, during this hard part of my, of trying not to drink, I gotta say, just smoking the weed, way better for me health-wise. I don't wake up feeling sick to my stomach. I am not pissing myself. I'm eating better. And my blood sugars are not bad. So yeah, technically the marijuana is not bad for my health. You could smoke all the pot you want for the rest of your life and probably nothing bad physically will happen to you ever because it's scientifically proven.
Right. So basically what you're saying...
My worry is that it might slow me down of working the recovery program that will get rid of the alcoholism completely. Because my problem is you can't... With recovery... This is why they try to make you change your whole fucking personality, pretty much. They as Carl Jung says to one of the first AAers, the only thing that he thought as a psychologist after working with this man for a year, trying to help him with his alcoholism with psychology, admitted that Carl Jung, the best psychologist, probably still to this day, told him, listen, nothing short of a spiritual experience. And he says, and when he said, he calls it a psychic change, which is a complete displacement of old ideas in place for new ones. So pretty much if you don't change the whole person and everything pretty much about you, and you're still stuck with the same person who likes to drink. And the point isn't just to want to drink and stay sober like they show on TV where they're sitting around, it's like, yeah, I really wanted to drink today, but that's not the point. You can't last long like that. You're going to cave. So they telling me, you work these steps, you pretty much have a connection to a higher power and a different way of life.
Let me ask you something.
And then you don't want to drink.
Do you actually feel a connection to a higher power right now, currently?
No.
Okay,
I'm definitely not today.
Have you ever felt like you were connected to your higher self or higher power?
You know what? The best times I felt like that was in times in deep love or shrooms.
Okay, so the times without
like an ego death on
All
a
right,
shroom trip.
Let's focus on when you felt connected to a higher power, but enabled by states of deep love, and that was when you were in a relationship, correct?
Yeah,
and you felt like and that's when you felt truly blessed.
Or like even times like when you're starting to form a new relationship and you think it's going to somewhere, you have a kind of a, I don't know. I guess it's a little bit of an ego death because you're thinking more about another person than you are about.
So
like,
what I ask you
shit.
is, what if you took all that love that you felt for that person, that made you feel like divine, pretty much. What if you had that kind of relationship with yourself?
Well, yeah, but that it's.
Have you ever had that kind of relationship with yourself? Where you would say, like, you've been with a woman where it's like, I would sacrifice everything for this woman. Have you ever been in that kind of relationship with yourself? Not in like a greedy sociopathic way.
I've ever been completely, I'd sacrifice everything for a female, though. I don't think.
No, I'm saying, well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe the reason why you've never reached that state for a woman is because you don't understand what it's like to reach that state for yourself.
You can't give that to somebody else. You can't give to yourself.
Exactly. So maybe what you should figure out is, I mean, this sounds corny and very reductive and simplistic, but maybe you still have never in your life learned to truly love yourself. Maybe you've only learned how to make yourself feel good.
Yeah,
you never
most of my life was, even when I was younger, before I did drugs, I remember like going into Starbucks and trying to drink like 9 shots of espresso to see what it would do. Like little itty bitty thrill seeking things. I'd find the tallest thing in the park and jump off of it.
Yeah.
And also a lot of look at me. That's why else would you be a fucking frontman in a band unless you have at least some bit of ego inside that you want everyone, all eyes on you? That's the thing, That's why movie stars.
So you were doing those things to try to feel certain emotions within yourself, right?
Yeah, of course. I feel like that isn't mostly what our human experience is, doing certain things to feel a certain way. Maybe that's just me. Well, maybe my idea of life is skewed.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think emotions are in relation to you? What do you think your emotions are?
See, I think okay, a sponsor told me, an AA sponsor, he's like, you got the cart before the horse.
Yes.
And, I didn't understand that phrase for a long time, but I'm coming around thinking it means, which is hard for me because my logical mind thinks the meaning of life is to have experiences that you enjoy.
Okay, so
really, like that's like deep down instinctually, that's what so I'm living by this instinct idea where, he says, no, you do this, and that, and you do things you don't necessarily I'm good. Is like not necessarily something to get something for yourself, but in the process, you become happy. But that's not the goal. The goal is to do something, accomplish something, give something to the world.
Answer the question, like, what do you think your emotions are in relation to you?
I don't know. I don't hate myself.
No, it's not about hating yourself. I just mean, what do you like your emotions, whether it's happiness, sadness, anxiety, jealousy, envy, anger. What do you think those emotions are in relation to you? What do you think they are?
Well, being honest with myself, it would be selfishness. Everything comes from
Can I show you something?
Self-centeredness.
Nah, look, let me show you a good perspective. Watch, read this, and look at this picture.
Perspective. Treat emotions like visitors who are just passing through. Yeah, that's been a saying since the 60s, since people started dropping acid.
So for everyone who's not watching, I'll flash you the meme. It's treat emotions like visitors who are just passing through. Here's a shot.
Yeah, but then how do you but a lot of people definitely feel this way where you don't have emotions that just pass. So you have emotions that come and they're sleeping on the couch now.
No. Let me tell you the problem. The problem is people, look, When you treat your emotions that are just passing through, when you view your emotions that way, things go fine. The problems happen when they cling to a specific emotional state. Like when they're happy, they're like, I never want this moment to end. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure this moment never ends. Or when they're depressed and sad, they're like, no, this sadness is who I am. Like, I cannot get over what happened to me. I will never get over what happened to me. I will keep this sadness forever. Or I will keep the loss of losing the love of my life forever. Because if I let that emotion go, then it's like then my dead lover's gone forever. Shit like that. It's when you hang on to them, that's when bad things happen. However, when you treat your emotions and when you respect them as honored guests that come to your home, stay for a little while and then leave, you have to let them leave and you have to let them come in. Treat your emotions as honored visitors, guests passing through you. Problems only happen when you cling to one specific emotion and force them to stay in your house. You have to let them come and you have to let them leave. That's what that meme is about. I mean, am I wrong? Like,
Yeah,
dude.
no, you're not wrong, but I don't think,
I mean, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's
also
easy.
just like it's a lot of subconscious shit. You don't know that you're holding on.
No. The reason why it's really hard is because we live in a world, we live in a society. It's funny. We live in a society, quote unquote, that literally thrives on you in a state where you're clinging to your emotions. It thrives where you're anxious. It thrives where you feel lack. Think about it this way. Let's say I rule the world, would I want the people that are under my subjugation, would I want them to see their emotions as visitors passing through? Or would I want them to remain anxious, depressed, incomplete people? Because the truth is, in a capitalist world, incomplete people make the best consumers. They make the best customers. You cannot have a thriving economy with everyone feeling content. That's not how progress works. People only go out and buy shit. People only go out and make shit when they feel discontent. People only go out and seek love when they feel discontent. It's impossible to seduce a content person. Therefore, when you actually do find that contentment within yourself and in your life, you become something unstoppable. You become something the powers fear. You become something where people will try to fucking kill you because just you existing offends them. Because the fact that you are a content, complete person within yourself, not because you need drugs, not because you need shoes, not because you need that car, or that career, or that status, or that identity as a rock star or a movie god actor. Like, if you're really truly content just living in this world as you are now, you're a threat. You're part of the resistance. You're a threat. You're a true threat to the powers that be.
You can't be swayed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why. But it's a double-edged sword, because if you are content, you're not really going to be a rebel or a freedom fighter either. You're just going to be like, people got their strife. It's like, what am I going to do? I could do everything I can to convince the bad guys to see the correct path or the good guys to see the righteous path. But there's no arguing with them. They're going to do their own thing. So knowing that, you're like, what the fuck is the point, right? But I could touch individuals. I may not be able to move masses, countries, crowds, or cities, but I could have conversations like this between me and you, where it's a lot easier to show you the real, higher reality than we're used to, right? That's what we do. We use each other as a springboard to kind of bounce off of each other's deficiencies to see the bigger and bigger picture. Otherwise, you're locked into this one little tiny fractal of the image, and that's no way to live.
Yeah, I don't actually, I'm at the end of this whole, because my mind is always thinking about existential things, and there's no answer to them. I can't just think my way into an answer for these things.
Well, you know what? That means
and also, you look around, nobody really has a fucking answer. You can YouTube whatever the fuck you want, spiritual you want.
That means you're on the shit. Dude, bro, you're 35 years old, 36?
35.
35. You're 35 years old. You're already on the right track, because there's people your age that are already fucked up. There's people your age that are already locked into a marriage they truly don't actually want to be in. They have kids that they never actually planned for. They have careers that they don't actually enjoy doing deep down in their souls.
Yeah, but that's better than I feel like that would be better than just really going at it with no fucking plan.
Well,
that's what I pretty much did.
Haven't you ever?
I was nihilistic from the start.
Haven't you ever heard of the quote, "The grass is always greener on the other side"? For you, you look at those people and you see security, you see them having safety, you see them having like self-assuredness, but for them, they see you and they see that you have freedom, and they're mad at you because you're taking that freedom for granted. And you know, they look at you and they're like, you're wasting your fucking life, and that's all they'll say, you know, because that's the way they look at you. Meanwhile, you look at them and say, well, what the fuck do you know? You have security, you have, but you, like, both parties are lacking what the, you know, they're lacking the perspective of the other. But really, that's what it is. You know, it's like you feel like shit because you're taking for granted what you have that those people don't have, and they judge you and they feel like shit because they're taking for granted what they have that you don't have. You know, no one feels. Yeah, that's what I'm. And this goes back to what I'm saying. As long as both of you feel like shit about your situation, if I rule the world, I win. You know, because if both of you are good about your situation, then I lose. If, like, unequivocally, like that's just how it is. Because that's how we live in a hyper-capitalist world, and that's how a hyper-capitalist world thrives, is if everyone feels at odds either with themselves or with another, you know?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, like, this is also another reason, like, I'm responsible in a sense, where it's
I feel like just being aware of these things does not help. At least it doesn't just help me.
Am I just aware of it though? No, you see,
actually makes it worse because you see yourself doing things and going into old patterns, and you know it's bad, but you can't kind of
Brendan,
help it.
So Brendan, let me ask you something. Like, I'm talking to you because I'm actually talking to you about these things. Would you like agree that I'm aware of these things, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that being said, how hard do I work? Like, you see me, you see how I live my life. Don't I work very, very, very hard at the shit that I do?
Yeah.
And that's why, because I know there's no other way. Like, once I knew these things, I can't unknow it. I can't live any other way, because if I know the things that we both know and I didn't live the way I do, no offense, I'd be just like you. This is why I have to be a freak. This is why I have to be a fucking psycho about, like, my efforts. Because first of all, like, so what if I work myself to death? Don't we die anyway? At least I'll die knowing I'm doing what I love. And secondly, doing what I love and working myself, quote unquote, to death doing what I love, I only get more energy. I only get more opportunities. I only get more resources. It's crazy. It's like life is literally rewarding me and giving me more life for killing myself for the thing that I love. And it's got nothing to do with other people. It's got nothing to do with my family members, my friends, lovers. No, this is all within me, like my martial arts, my music, the podcasting. This is all on me, baby. And once I have utmost faith in myself, that's when the universe decided, all right, you were at the end of your rope and you decided you didn't give a fuck in anything. You didn't have faith in anything, and you decided to just believe in yourself, and you thought you were going to get burned for that. But right when you reached that point, now you get it. And that's when I truly felt blessed and rewarded by God or the universe or life or whatever you want to call it. But that's what alignment is about, is like just accepting it, you know, accepting everything. If you're depressed, I mean, what exactly are you depressed about? What, not getting to drink? Oh, boo fucking who?
No, it's more than that though.
Like,
it's
what?
Like
What is it?
I think there is like a thing with
what do you want to
depression.
do? What is it?
That's the problem. I lost a lot of, like, the desire to want to do certain things just left me.
So are you telling me that you're upset because you lost the desire to desire
like,
things?
Yeah. It's
that's
just
fucked up, dude.
It's
stupid.
just
but
meaninglessness.
But when you actually
and a lot of people experience this.
I know a lot of people experience this, but this is something that we all have to grow out of, whether it takes us 18 years or whether it takes us 80 years. It's something that we all have to grow out of.
Look,
eventually.
when you have a goal in mind, you have something you want to strive to. You know. Then you can.
Yeah, but Brendan,
then you can put that energy focus.
You know what your
have
problem is?
You give a shit.
Brendan,
about.
You know what your problem was? Every single one of your major goals relied on another person's participation. None of your goals were ever like completely self-sufficient or completely dependent on you. All of your desires, all of your goals usually always were contingent on someone else participating.
Well, that's the human condition.
That's not true. There's plenty of goals in the world that have nothing to do with other people outside of yourself. There's plenty of achievements and goals and like self-growth opportunities you could seize that are not dependent on anyone else at all. Like, that's what you have to focus on first. You can't focus on the goals that are so like that require.
What do you mean by that? Like, what are you talking about that aren't dependent upon other? Like, what? It isn't achieving something to give something to the world. Which means it's people?
No. You think what? You think like I make music for other people? No, I make music because it fucking makes me happy.
You're right. That's what I was doing it.
And I got fucking good at it. right? I got fucking really good at I know you don't like it, but like people recognize like I got pretty fucking good at like music production. Like even if I was producing like a song for someone else, like they wrote the song, they just wanted it recorded into a nice like produced like track that's album worthy, I could do that for them because I just enjoyed doing it, not because I wanted to get to that point. I just liked doing it. Martial arts, do you think like really like do you seriously, I mean, there's only one person I really rely on for martial arts, and that's my teacher. But that's like with any martial art, you know, like honestly, if like I went through a relationship, got out of the relationship, had friends, lost friends, but guess what? None of them affected my martial arts journey. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the most powerful things, the kinds of things where you don't do it because of other people. You do it solely for yourself.
Like with music, I would be able to sit there and just play and sing to myself and have I would get like chills sometimes. I was just enjoying playing the music by myself. And then, I'd also do like, and then I did open mic nights and played a lot. And like when I was in Texas for the first year or so, and then it just fell away. Like that does that. No, I don't think that like that drive, that want to keep doing it just left me. And I just didn't give a shit as much.
Well, all right. You don't have to feel so like
it just like kind of fell away into the background. Like a lot of things I like thought I wanted.
You know what the problem is? The problem isn't that you stopped. The problem is that you stopped talking to yourself in a specific way. And here's what I mean. There's points when you play music, that's when all is right. And then when you stop playing music, there was that point in your life where you weren't playing music, but you would have that voice in your head that would say, you got to get back on that guitar, man. You got to work on your songs, man. You remember that little voice in your head.
Yeah, you're right.
So even it's not the fact that you're not playing. It's that you're not playing and you don't hear that. It's like you lost. It's like you got cut off. You got cut off from the force.
Yeah.
Because when you
have
that voice, you had that voice in your head, I could have locked you in a room with your hands tied in a straitjacket, eating from a straw for 3 weeks straight, and you would have been like, I got to get out so I could play music. I got to get out so I could play music.
Yeah.
Now, if I did that to you, put you in that same situation, you wouldn't have that same nagging voice of playing. You would think of like, I got to get out and get booze, like, or something else.
Yeah.
Like you allowed other.
That happens to a lot of people though. You start losing.
Fuck other people. For you, this is about you. And I'm saying now that you lost that connection to that music force, like you're trying to find. You're the exile basically with music. Like
you played KOTOR 2.
It's the best. I like KOTOR 2 better.
It's so fucking. Whenever I try to restart playing it, it's just so fucking tedious, and then I don't want to miss anything, and then I'll just sit there with my phone looking up, how do you romance this fucking character, and it ruins the immersion for me.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like KOTOR 2 is one of those games you could just get through.
Sometimes it glitches out in a bad way and pisses me off. Like there's times like I'm getting somewhere, it'll just like turn on and off. I have it on my Switch.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah, it's like the Exile got cut off.
Yeah, you got cut off, and you just got to find. And the thing is, you're cut off.
Wait, but why was the reason again that?
Okay,
like,
so here's the thing.
Kreia explains to you.
Kreia explains that they were never truly cut off from the Force. What
because
truly
attracting other people that are strong in the Force.
What truly happened, which was the exile, went through so much specific trauma. First of all, before the Mandalorian Wars, the exile was a great Jedi Knight, an amazing Jedi Knight. In fact, this Jedi Knight was so powerful that like they were on track to be like master status. Revan, they were basically Revan's disciple. Like basically like Revan trusted the exile.
And this was when Revan was good.
Yeah,
like canon is that Revan like defeated Malak and became good again.
Now what happened was the Mandalorian Wars changed everyone. First of all, it turned Malak and Revan like evil as fuck. We know that, all right? So the exile also went through the same traumas, but for the exile, they didn't turn Sith and they didn't like go to the dark side. What happened to the exile was they internalized that trauma. They didn't like take all the horrors of the Mandalorian War and externalize it and saying we got to make sure the galaxy never experiences it. What they did was they took all those horrors and they were like, it was all my fault. If only I got there in time, if only I did this correctly, if only I did this, and they live with that. So what they thought was that they lost contact with the Force because they felt like, they got severed and disconnected because of all the evil they did. The truth is, that was self-projected blame, and they were never truly cut off. What ended up happening was that the Force was always very powerful with them, but the exile felt so much negative self-imaging, self-emotion, was that the Force, their connection with the Force didn't go away. It turned into a vacuum. It didn't turn into like a proper channel where it was like in and out. All it was like a pure like in, but no externalizing. Because like every time I externalize my Force output, bad things happen. So I'm just never going to externalize it. But they didn't know they kept like sucking force power in and in and in. And the more events, like crazy events happen around them, the more force power they suck in. For example, every time when they finally got on their journey after exile, they started killing like Sith acolytes, and then they got exponentially more powerful. And they had, even Kreia was like, what the fuck? You know, and this is why. It's because of the trauma they experienced. They thought they were severed. No, what they did was they just cut off their outward force flow, but they weren't able to cut off their force, you know, taking in. So they literally became like a black hole of the force. And like, that's literally all due to PTSD.
Didn't Kreia want to like kill the force?
Well, yeah, because the force, it's like, it's basically us saying like,
that's like saying let's kill God.
Yeah. No. It's saying let's kill magic, right? But that's the society we live in. Right now, the society we live in today is a post-force world. It's a post-magical world. It's as if a Kreia came out in Atlantis and was like, no, humans are abusing this magic. I will wash away this corrupt world, high-tech world with a great flood. Which is like told in, you know, many creationist myths and all that shit. Like, I will wash it all away and start over, which is pretty much what happened. And we do have evidence of like really, really ancient and really advanced civilizations. So it's like, when you think about what Kreia was trying to do, Kreia was
just wipe us out then.
What do you mean?
Why wouldn't they just kill us instead of making us live without the connection to
Because the goal, it wasn't to wipe us out. The goal was to correct us. We were corrupted by too much power too soon. Now they were hoping that by this time around, we would have it figured out better. I think we do. I think if we did, as a collective species in the year 2024, 2025, reconnected with magical thinking, parallel with our secular, logical, reason-based thinking, like one doesn't have to eat the other. If we learn how to like let those things run parallel within us, the world would be a lot better. I mean, you see the way I talk, right? Like sometimes half of me is talking like pure, like low vibration. Like, yeah, I know what to do with your finances. I know what to do with your revenue. I know what percentage of it should go into your brokerage account. I know what percentage of it should go into your long-term save. Like, yeah, I know how to talk like that. But then again, I also know how to talk like, yeah, I know how to align yourself in, you know, mind, body, and soul. I know what it means to have a soul. I know that, like, you know, everyone else is a spiritual being, really, and to hurt you is to hurt me because we're all the same soul living out different lifetimes in different bodies. That's what I'm talking. If everyone could reach that ability where we could run parallel material and spiritual realities and existences, that's our next step. But it's really difficult. First of all, I know it's going to be difficult because it was very difficult for me. And I don't think I'm like an idiot, you know, like I think I'm a decently smart enough guy to understand, like, if this is what it takes for everyone in the world to fix the world, like, this is a tall order. Like for everyone to reach the same kind of spiritual awakening and for it to not burn them as if it was like Icarus going too close to the sun, like this is going to be rough. Like this is like rapture level tough, you know, like it's hard. It's hard. It's really, really hard. Cause like, I mean, you talk about spiritual awakening, right? What's the only thing that could reverse that? Other people, like debt. You know, like credit card debt, other people collecting on their fucking karma points or whatever, other people collecting.
Well, it's kind of like how like recovery shit works. Yes. You have to get to a point.
You have to clear your karma. That's why they make you do that. That's why they make you go to every person you fucked over with your addiction bullshit. Why? It's a spiritual thing. It cleans your karma. It cleans your karmic shit. That's why they make you fucking do that.
The beginning is like a rapture. You have to get to a point of like, I'm completely fucked.
Yes.
You know? It's like
you have to get to a tower moment.
You have to be deflated.
They call it in a tarot. They call it the tower moment, where you erected this tower of like self-deception or whatever, and then right then a sudden burst of like correcting righteous energy comes, and the whole tower comes tumbling down. And you have a choice. You could either live down to earth, or you could choose to build another tower, only to repeat that cycle. It's only when you choose to remain down to earth.
Really, I never heard about that. I gotta read more about tarot. I'd get another tarot reading, except I never hear what I want to hear. I was going to it like, oh,
dude, your energy's fucked up, man.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, you know what people? Well, look, this isn't about me, but yeah, your energy's fucked up.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm not even gonna argue with that. My energy is fucked up.
But you know, that doesn't deter me though. First of all, your energy will never negatively affect me. And second of all, I will always care about you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like, you know, That's why I feel like I'm meant to talk to you and I'm meant to be in your life, because I know your energy's fucked up, but I also know your energy will never affect me negatively, and I also know I give a shit. So this is where I'm supposed to be. What else do I need, right? But this is what I'm talking about. If more people were able to think this way and listen to their intuition and like and the way to keep this mentality consistent is not easy. I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but it's very simple. It's hard, but it's simple. You have to be aligned in mind, body, and soul, meaning you have to care for your body, you have to have a healthy mind, and you have to like nourish your soul. That's the only way to make those three aspects of yourself not be at war with each other. And if you could do that, if you could align that trifecta, that triforce, that's when you earn the triforce. That's mind, body, and soul together aligned. That's when you become a god, and that's what you're supposed to do. That's the only way. That's the only way to have a life anymore. Because acceleration is real. We've accelerated our consciousness to such a point where it's like we know too much as a species. Now it's like, I'm an idiot. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not royalty. I'm not a fucking CIA operative. I'm not anyone who knows things with security clearance. And yet, even I was able to come across this truth that none of you fuckers can argue with, all right? That you have to be aligned in mind, body, and soul. Whether you're beating addiction, whether you want to become a millionaire, whether you want to become famous, whether you want to win a sword tournament, like whatever the fuck it is. The key is to become aligned in mind, body, and soul. So those three aspects of self are not at war with each other. That's it. Simple as. I mean, it's simple, but it's hard. It's very hard. I mean, it was hard for me.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, the only way I was able to do it is because I ate a lot of shit in life. Like a lot of fucking shit. I went through foster care. I thought I was gonna get killed by my own father. Like I've been arrested. I went through like I was a high school dropout. Like I was homeless at one point. Like yeah, but it's when you eat a lot of shit. I think a lot of my friends are dead now too. You know, just to add like.
Well, that's the thing. They kept getting shit and they kept eating it, and then they just killed them. Not everyone like gets enough shit. Some people just like don't know when to say that's enough shit, and they kill.
That's true. That's true. You know?
Yeah, some people don't make it.
Some people don't know fucking when to stop, but that's what it is, right? This is what. Look, it's really a choice. I mean, after every life journey, at the end of it, there's only one true lesson, which is happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice, no matter what. Like no matter what you do, no matter what happens to you, no matter what you decide to do, no matter what others decide to do to you, happiness is ultimately a choice. Think about it. I mean, no matter what happens to you, right? No matter what good or evil like befalls you, like for example, you have people who are like extremely poor with nothing, you know, to their names, and yet they still find I'm right. Like there's still people in the world with nothing, and yet they still have reasons to be grateful and happy, and they recognize it consciously. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have plenty of people with plenty, with so much more than any of us ever actually need, and yet they have so many problems. Like they're so miserable, they're so depressed, they're so ungrateful. They never feel like any of it's enough. They feel like they'll never be happy despite all the wealth they've accrued. So this is what I'm talking about. I mean, happiness is ultimately nothing to do with your material conditions, like what you're doing or not doing with your life, or it's really a state of mind. Am I wrong?
No, but it's also again easier said than done. It's so simple that our logical brains.
It's deceptively simple. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah,
It's so simple that it deceives you in its simplicity. It's so simple that like you try to just like follow the simple rules, and you see like all more complex things like attack your new path, and you're like, what the fuck? Like all I wanted to do was just have a simple fucking day with myself, and then you guys have to come and fucking ruin it with your bullshit and your problems. What that should do, that should be a moment where you realize how hard but how important it is to stay centered within yourself. Or the alternative outcome is, yeah, you guys are right, I was just stupid trying to center myself anyway, what's going on with the world? Tell me all about this bullshit. That's the problem, you know, like most people choose the latter when they come, because like everyone gets enticed by the spiritual path. Everyone hears about it, they're like, I want enlightenment, I want to see if I could do it. And before they know it, like their girlfriend calls them, or like their mom or dad calls them, tell them to do something they don't want, or work calls them to tell them bad news, or like school gives them a bad grade, or like a bully.
No,
comes
I'm
in-
constantly coming and going back into the moment and like out of my mind, It's nonstop.
I don't think I've been out of the moment the past like year and a half, to be honest. Like honestly,
It's always spinning up here.
you know what? You know what? Really, another thing that really changed me is I learned this new technique of like making contact with your past and your future selves. Like every day, I talk to my future self. It's crazy. I know it sounds crazy. I sound insane, but like I feel like
It's a fabricated idea. Still,
I feel like I'm telepathically connected with my future self, or my multiple future selves. Like I talk to them. I talk to myself like a month later, 2 months later, 5 months later. At first, it was like, it was very. I would never acknowledge it. I would never consciously recognize that as what I'm doing. But it wasn't until like things would happen. I would make things happen by planning things out and then talking to myself like at the end of like the version of me that's at the end of the things I plan. It's like, this is gonna work, right? Like, tell me this is gonna work, future Chris. And it's like, yeah, the party's gonna go all right. I mean, even if this happens, like this will still happen and you'll be all right. Things are gonna go good. And I'll be like, are you sure? And then future Chris will be like, yeah. Party will go by and then boom, everything goes better than expected. And then future Chris will be looking at me and be like, see? And then it becomes present Chris. Then I am that Chris. It's like, it's no longer future Chris. Then it's like, oh shit, I am the Chris that said everything. And then that's when I think back telepathically to my past Chris. It's like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay.
Are you fucking serious? Some weird Back to the Future shit right now.
No, dude,
it's imagination though.
But it's still real because it happens. And you know what I think
you
it is?
You're able to actually think it and manifest it?
No. All I'm doing is first of all,
what if it didn't turn out
I will
that
never
way?
be able to give you like material on paper things that'll make you believe this phenomenon is something that's like materially proven that they should just print in textbooks. But what I'm telling you is that it works for me. And it's not even like a logical based thing. It's purely emotional. It's purely love. It's connected through love. It's like, like when I just use my mentality, my mind, I'm like, this is fucking stupid. This is retarded. Like, why am I even doing this? Why am I even talking to you? But when things actually happen, I don't care about all of that. It's just love. It's like future Chris or past Chris or present Chris. I love you guys. We fucking did it. So I feel like I'm in a room full of like, like different versions of me and different timelines. It's all happening at the same time. And we're like, we fucking did it. And the longer I do it, I really feel like the stronger this bond gets. I feel like
if it works,
try it. Dude, try making contact with future Brendan. I mean, look, the scary.
Maybe since there's infinite possibilities, anything you can possibly think is at least one of those possibilities.
Now you're getting yes. Pulling it into never existence. One line. It's never one. See, now you're getting to the advanced level. I always
you can think it's happened, right? If you're thinking in that terms.
Okay, so you're jumping to the advanced version. So when I start people with the straight line, I start people with make contact with the future you and the past you. But if they're smart, they think that they consider the making contact with the future and say, wait, but there's other future selves that did different things, right? And I'm like, yes, right? And that's the advanced version where you like make contact with multiple versions of yourselves in the future. And that's its own thing, which is very crazy. But here's what's even crazier. It's not linear. So it's not just like straightforward to your future selves. It's also, you could go backwards. There's past versions of yourself that made choices that your current self didn't make, and you could make contact with them too. They're also you, dude. Like, who else is gonna know these people but you? You are them. They are you. I mean, yeah, they live on a different universe because they made different decisions than you did, but they're still you. This is what quantum thinking is all about. This is what quantum existence really is. It's a non-linear existence, because it's true. Like the whole idea of linear past, present, and future, that's illusion. That's not set. That's not actual. That's not based on matter. That's literally just a perspective, right? A way to perceive, right? But the truth is, like, if you actually look at advancements in quantum science, like quantum physics, they say like time isn't actually linear like that. Time, past, present, and future aren't separated or separated from each other. They're actually all happening at the same time. So when you think of the idea like making contact with your future self, that is like in a way quantum leaping, timeline jumping.
Yeah, I like how we have this generation right now, kind of, because with the internet and a lot of different studies, like it's like scientists, like science and like spirituality.
Dude, this is what ancient. Remember, this is what ancient Egyptians and shit were on. You know, this is what they were like. I'm not talking about ancient Egyptians like 2,000 years ago.
The test with the photons.
Yeah,
how they react differently when they're being observed.
The double slit experiment.
Yeah, shit like that. And people like, you know, like a lot of scientists are like coming to like
what that tells you. What that tells you is the same thing that alchemists or people of Gnostic tradition were telling us since like the 19th century, was that the universe is mental. The universe is made of mind. If you break matter down to its smallest known fucking elements, you realize that just consciously observing it alters its characteristics, alters its like properties. What is that? How is that possible? The only way that's possible is if the universe is inherently mental. We live in a mental universe. Everything is of mind. We think it's physical. No, the universe at its core root is mental. Like physical matter is literally just frozen light.
So what would you say? Okay, so you're actually consciously trying to manifest and attract things into your life. So what would you say to somebody who's trying to just turn their will over to the higher power and see what its path it wants for you?
Well, what is your all right, give me the first thing that I'm going to ask you a question. Give me the first answer that comes to mind. What do you think the soul is made out of?
I don't know.
Okay, what do you think is the highest ideal of humankind?
I would say maybe one of the avatars that we kind of use as a kind of like
what would you say is the highest ideal?
Measuring pole. What
would you say is the highest ideal?
Like a Buddha or Jesus.
I'm just saying, not a person. Like, what would you say is the highest ideal?
I have no idea. I'm not in that, so I don't have any experiential knowledge of that.
What would you say is the most important thing in the universe?
I don't know.
I mean, what does your heart tell you? If I ask you that question,
a lot of people would say love.
Yes. See, that answers all the questions that I just asked you. What is a soul made out of?
That's a very broad.
No. You don't understand how important love is, or what like how deep love goes. And not just in like our personal relationship with that word. I mean, in the physics-based term of what love does to you in terms of chemistry, in terms of physics, in terms of psychology, in terms of energy. Like love can actually transcend time. Love can actually move mountains. I mean, here's where I.
Except if you could, you probably wouldn't want to.
I'm just saying, when it comes to yeah, you're right. Yeah. No.
The realization you can do anything, you probably wouldn't.
Brendan, you don't
anything.
understand how much I love what you just said, because like I know so many people, like smart people, who want to change the world for the better, right? And then I say this, and they don't like this. This is when they argue with me. But I say true strength is about leaving the world exactly the way it is. It's not about changing the world. It's about finding the strength to leave it just the way it is.
No, making it better could be good too.
No.
I feel.
No. The world is already perfect. You don't have to try to make it better. In fact,
well, I mean, at least just being more loving and thinking about others.
And that means leaving the world, and think about that. Like, what does it take to actually have the strength to leave the world just the way it is? It takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of willpower, and it takes a lot of like, for example, let's say you have kids in a family. It's going to take a lot at that point to like leave the world the way it is. It only takes like, you can't, not just anybody can have that kind of strength, you know, like it takes a lot of strength. Only, in fact,
just by being born, you did something.
Exactly. So it's like to like be a being that can
you're born with karma. Like that's why you're born. There's some
now
kind of cause of that in the first place, or else you wouldn't be.
So if anything, your mission.
So you did something.
So your mission is to just try to do less and less somethings. I mean, you could do whatever you want. That
just by fucking breathing, you're doing something. You're changing.
Atmosphere. I'm just saying. Look, you know the song by the Beatles, Revolution. Yeah, it's like that. That song basically sums it up.
I was thinking of Revolution 9, which is
how does that song
9?
go? You say
number
that
9.
You want a revolution.
You better free your mind instead. Yeah, it's simple.
But it works because I think that song gets it. You know, it's like all the revolutionaries have such good intentions, but they're like working against their actual intentions, you know, because of the way they're going about it. And I'm not saying they got to stop because
Well, yeah, John Lennon wrote that, but then he also had, the whole protest thing, just stay in bed, which is easy to say when, like, you don't
You're
have
rich.
To, you don't have to fucking pay rent. And, like, somebody said, I don't know if it's true or not, there was a maid, like, making their pillows and shit for them while they were in their bed. I'm like, that's overkill.
no, yeah. So here's one thing that I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about like posting less on the internet, like about like I don't know, like wrote like the paths to I don't even use the word enlightenment. I hate that word now because of like its loaded insinuations, but like I just talk about alignment, like that's what I really care about. Like you got to make yourself aligned in mind, body, and soul, so your mind is not attacking your body, so your body is not attacking your soul, and your soul is not attacking your mind, and either or in that cycle. Like those things have to be on the same team, and that's what I really try to promote, like ideas and things and practices that can help that alignment, because without that alignment nothing's gonna work for you, buddy. You could be born with the best genes, you could be born with millions, you could be but if you're unaligned, you are fucked. Nothing's gonna work for you. You're gonna destroy everything that ever comes into your life.
Actually, if you have more material shit, you can do a lot more damage too. If you're like rich
Exactly.
and you're fucked up.
Exactly. So this is why I truly believe self-alignment is the most important thing. And here's the thing. I love the idea of self-mastery, because self-mastery is the only game in the world that every single one of us can play and that every single one of us can all win. There's no other game in the world like that. And no other species in this world can play that game. But self-mastery is worth it. Because think about it, again, I'll repeat. It's the only game that we can all play, and it's the only game that we can all win. Self-mastery is it's the only game that matters. Fuck money, fuck status, fuck power, fuck influence, fuck all that shit. Fuck bitches, fuck having, trying to have kids so desperately, to add meaning to it. No, self-mastery, if you seek that, everything falls into place. Everything. Before you know it. Things will come chasing after you.
It's like seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything will be added onto you.
When you seek self-mastery, it gets to a point where girls that like a year ago, you would have like been balls deep in, but then like you sought self-mastery, you worked on yourself for like a year straight, and then the same girl will come after you because she feels that you get it, and then they try to follow you around, and you just look back and you're like, sorry, I'm evolved now. And it's like like that's that moment.
Of course, if you have a personality change, like that's what Carl Jung would call a psychic change.
Yes,
your whole everything is gonna look different to you.
Like Carl Jung like worked with some like alcoholic or something. He's like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think what it's going to take is some spontaneous psychic.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like, you're fucked.
unless
I'm
able to break you in the right way.
But he didn't have a way of doing this. He was like, I've heard about this in like history books, but I've never seen it happen myself. So he's pretty much, he just gave him the death sentence.
I mean, I would do the same thing. I mean, because I would know that's true. Like after experiencing the things that I've experienced, I mean, shit. I mean, like, it's funny too. Like, at this point in my life, like, I do not give a fuck who exits my life. I mean, literally, like, I'm like, the only reason why they would exit my life is at this point is like either I hurt them, which I really try not to do, or they're so fucked up they just can't handle being around a person who's not fucked up. Seriously, like even you, dude. Like we had that little moment where we didn't talk, but I never took that personally. I was like, dude, it's all good. Like like I get it. Like you're dealing with some shit. It's fine.
Yeah.
But you're not the only one. Like there's plenty of people like that, and I never hold it against them. I'm like, listen. You may say all these do and say all these mean things to me now.
It was funny on that phone call because I was at a meeting and I felt really bad. I went to a meeting early, and then you were like, "Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going to an AA meeting." I don't think you like heard me. I think you just like, and then you were like, "All right, you want to grab a drink afterwards?" And I'm like, "I'm going to an AA meeting," and you're like, "Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, so I can't drink." He's like, and you're like, "You mean like you don't drink ever?" I'm like, "Yeah, no." And you're like, oh, that sucks. And I'm just like, yeah, I guess it does kind of suck, but it doesn't work out for me. I can't just like.
No, I believed you, man.
Like it's an all or nothing thing. It's either I'm drinking or I'm not. It's not I'll have a beer on fucking Saturday and that's it. Like it's never like that.
Yeah,
I
but
wish
to
it
me it
could
was
be,
like
but,
it's
like,
almost
it's not-
like
that's
it's
not-
almost like I was a hobbit, right? And you saw me at like Buckleberry Ferry, right? And then you were like, "Fuck you, I can't talk to you right now." And then you came back in touch with me with your shit, and then you look at me now, and it's like, "Sorry, I'm by like Isengard," you know, like I'm on my shit. But you know, like you caught up with me, and I you know, like I had time for you and stuff, and it was good.
Yeah, I was just trying to focus on that because you know what else was I gonna do.
But no, I was good, and I was happy. Like, look, this is what I'm saying. Like, plenty of people like. This is why I know I'm not in the wrong, because I'm like, I never needed things from you. Like I was just trying to do things with you, but if it's not your jam, then you could fuck off and do your own thing. And they do. And you know, like a lot of times they would leave off and say some like condescending or patronizing or nasty things. But I'm like, you know what? I get what this is. And you may think you have what it is, but it's all good. And then, you know, if they ever came around, I'd be like, all right, it's all good. You know, we could just pick up off where we left off. You know, it's no harm, no foul. I get it. You were going through some shit, dog. Like, it's all good. You know, like that's just the way I generally like handle these things. It's just some.
Yeah, so I just kind of went missing for you. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I get it. I never take it personally. Like, that's the thing, because like, this is what I'm talking about. This is the benefit of like striving.
You saw me how bad it was getting.
And then
Right.
why do you think I talk so much shit to you?
Yeah.
Like, why do you think I was getting on your ass? Like, I kept telling you, it's like, you're drinking too much, man. You're drinking too much. It wasn't even that you were drinking too much. It was the way you were drinking that I hated.
Yeah.
I hated the way you drank nips. I hated that shit. I was like, why can't we just get a bottle of something nice and just
Because
sip
it's
it?
after like that's how alcoholism like progresses. It becomes like a
Weird,
like yeah,
like a
weird.
ghoulish-
It
it's
feels like
ghoulish.
it's just like no different than being a crackhead.
It's ghoulish shit.
You're
No.
a crackhead, but for a different drug.
Because with everyone else- because-
it is as socially. You can just walk into. That's the problem with booze. You can just walk into a store and get the shit. At least with crack, it's like it's pretty. You know, it's pretty bad when you have to go to these fucking neighborhoods and go to these shady people and buy the shit. You know, like I've done it with like hard drugs like that.
Yeah, but at least if you were like if that was your shit, you would know like the good shit. Because like when I drink with people, even if they were
It's
alcohol,
It's not about.
I know.
It's about
but,
alcohol.
But when I
That's it.
but usually when I drink with people, it's like at least if we're gonna like go through a bottle, just two people, like we could at least have something nice, you know, like at least we could have something good and something that's like with history and with flavor and like texture.
Also, but when you're drinking that much every day, you're just trying to get as much alcohol that's palatable to you for the least amount of money because you're already spending too much money. You're buying a lot every day. Like during like the end of before I had to go to detox, I was buying more than a liter of vodka a day.
You basically forgot what it was like to spend a day without drinking.
I drank more than a liter of vodka a day.
I'm saying you forgot what it
All
was.
day I was drinking
You
vodka.
forgot what it was like to spend a day without drinking.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Now do you remember what it's like?
You
To
know,
spend-
and you know, for a while I was able to go just like drink every night.
well, I'm
And then
saying,
after a while that went on, then maybe a couple drinks in the morning, and then
All
after a
right,
while
all
it was
right,
like
all
just
right.
keep going.
and that was
nonstop.
yes. You were creating a new regular. You were creating a new normal. But I'm
There was
saying
no going backwards.
now, do you know do you remember what it's like to spend a day without drinking? Now do you remember?
Yeah,
Okay. So
but it's
never
also
forget.
hard
Why?
because it's just the way the brain for alcohol is wired. It's just
Yeah, but you never did anything cool like while you weren't drinking.
well, I've done things like in the past that I wasn't.
Yeah, but nothing really
actively drinking.
Nothing really truly cool though.
No, I've done cool things in my life without drinking.
Like what?
I still played music before I started drinking.
Yeah, but no, music doesn't count because music is heavily tied to all of your substances. You cannot.
Yeah,
that
music was always there, and you know,
Music
with
always
it.
going to be there, but that's why it doesn't count because if anything,
It was there before the substances. So
Yeah, but if anything, you could say it led you to a lot of substances too.
I don't know if that's led me to it. I think I would have done it whether it was while I was playing music or not. I think no matter what.
I'm not judging music in your
found
life.
some
I'm
kind of
judging the
crowd.
way you used music in your life.
What do you mean? How I use music in my life?
Exactly what I said.
I just like playing shows.
Oh. I mean, because as long as
And I
I've
was like
known,
wanting to be like rebellious and shit.
as
you
long
know,
as
like
I've
punk
known
rock.
you, all your music was about like getting fucked up and doing fucked up shit.
It was also a lot of like
Not giving a fuck.
anti-rules, anti-government kind of shit. You know, kind of like nihilist, anarchist kind
And
of.
that's retarded because then you like, what are you gonna do when you have to make rules for yourself?
No, see, I never had a plan. Like when I don't know what happened to me when I was younger. Like I had diabetes, and I didn't really like. I thought like I'm just gonna be in a punk band and then just like kill myself.
So basically,
like, in my prime.
So basically, you were wrong about everything.
Yes, I started off just
so
it went the opposite direction. I didn't even try.
You were wrong about everything.
Yes, I was wrong about everything.
You're basically one of those like black dudes with a lot of gang tattoos.
I wanted to at least join the 27 Club. I just wanted to go rock, party hard, and then die. Live fast. I have live fast, die young tattooed to my fucking arms when I was 16.
You got to admit, Brendan, you've been
psychopath tattoos. Live fast, die young on a 16-year-old's arms.
Brendan, I was gonna say, Brendan, you lived a long time based off of some retarded ass beliefs.
Yes.
At least you admit that. Just admit that you believed in some stupid fucking thing.
Yes, I believe what I wanted to believe. And
now, what do you believe in?
I actually had some of the best times of my life when I was really nihilistic.
Right,
and I had other beliefs later on, and I still had a good time. It took a while before complete, like,
now what do you believe in?
Existentialism and depression got to me completely. What?
Now what do you believe in?
I have no fucking clue. I'm at 0 point. But 0 point is better than believing in something that isn't, like, not serving you, at least, right?
You're going to have to believe in something eventually, though.
Yeah, everyone has to believe in something. Do they, though?
Yes.
Well, you do believe in things, you know. But
do you believe in a soul?
Yeah.
So you believe you have a soul?
Yeah, in some way.
Do you believe I have a soul?
Yeah, but I don't think it's all one thing though.
Do you believe that everyone's the same soul living different lives in different bodies?
Yeah, I think at the core of it, I think everything, our bodies, our souls, and everything is part of the game, I guess. But I really don't know the meaning of it. I'm not supposed to, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But it is good to know that everyone is just the same soul living out different lives and different bodies. I love saying that, I love like paying attention to the people with like problems with hearing that, the people who don't like hearing that. Like, what do you think they must be? Like, there's some fucked up people out there who hate hearing that. It's like, no, that's not true. I don't believe that. I don't believe we all share the same soul living out different lives and different bodies. No, because it's a very heavy thing to like take in, right?
I don't think it's a bad thing to take in. Like some people believe in a literal fucking hell, and that's a crazy thing to believe in.
But you can see why it's hard.
I wouldn't be able to live thinking that there's a literal fucking hell that people are being burnt in. That's not even in the fucking Bible, supposedly. So like, at least like, even if you're a Christian, you don't have to believe in that shit. But like, I think a lot of people were brought up that way, and it's fucking horrifying to live and think if I'm bad and I touch my pee-pee, God's gonna fucking burn me.
That's the real problem. The real problem.
I've heard a lot of people tell me.
Listen, the real problem isn't that there is a concept of eternal damnation. The real problem is the conditions that it takes to get there. Like, if at one point you told humanity, "Oh, you're never going to go to hell unless you murder someone in cold blood," but you're never going to do that, right? It's like, yeah, of course not. And then it turned into, "Oh, you're never going to go to hell unless you murder someone in cold blood and steal from them, but you're never going to do that, right?" And they're like, "No, of course not. I would never kill and I would never steal." And then it turned into, "Oh, you would never experience eternal damnation unless you would never kill someone, steal from them, fuck their wife," right? And it's like, no, I would never do that. I would never kill someone.
Just keep adding to the list.
Exactly. That's the real problem. It's like the real fucked up sin is like,
but even in the Old Testament, you at least before Jesus and everything, you have the 10 Commandments, and those are pretty. You can't really argue with the 10 Commandments. You can't be like, "Oh, that one's wrong. We should be able to do that." Every single one of them, if you said, "Oh, yeah, we should be able to do a little bit of that," would be crazy.
But it's still not perfect. For example, the 10 Commandments doesn't include "Thou shalt not fuck children." Does that mean we should go and...
That would be adultery, I think. I'd be under adultery.
No, you could be a single man and go like do that. First of all, let's just acknowledge that the 10 Commandments does not condemn pedophilia, and that's probably why they did it for so long in ancient history. But yeah, 10 Commandments is not perfect.
Actually, I've heard that they changed men should not lie with another man, which is one of them, right? And to in the Bible,
that's hearsay. That's hearsay.
Men,
we're not talking about the Bible. We're not talking about the Bible. We're talking about the 10 Commandments. Where on the 10 Commandments does it forbid you from fucking a child?
They don't explicitly say that.
No, exactly. So that means a lot, doesn't it? That tells you that the ancient people of the 10 Commandments who followed the 10 Commandments when it was written thought, "Hey, that's not against the rules, right? I could probably do this, right? So they probably did it for
think
many,
that
many,
could
many
all- yeah,
years.
but also, any one of these could fall under do unto others what you would want done to you. And I don't think you would want somebody to rape your bum when you're 9 years old.
What if they did it? What if they did it in an ethical? What if they did it in what they perceived in an ethical way? I mean, if you look at the way history did
Well,
it,
then they didn't follow the commandments correctly. They fucked it up.
You're saying that? You think you know better?
I what do you mean no better than old guys fucking little kids?
Yeah,
I wouldn't want that done to me, so that would fall under do unto others.
Yeah, but we're talking about a time when these like officials, government official types had a lot of power, and then they would see
if they are able to say, I would love if when I was 6 years old, some
Brendan,
guy fucked me.
Brendan, you don't understand. They don't just fuck these kids. They give them an education. They give them a future. They give them rank. They give them status. They give them all sorts of shit. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to fuck every boy. No, they pick the right boy because they know if they have that relation with that like 12 or 13-year-old boy, they're like, okay, now I got to educate this kid. Now I got to like look after him.
Don't they have like the whole, destroying
you've heard
Sodom and Gomorrah?
Brendan, you've heard of the concept of a squire boy, right? For a knight. It was common practice for the knights to like fuck their squire boys.
Really?
Yes.
What the fuck is wrong with
because you know what I think the problem.
The scary thing is, people are like pedophilia is bad, and it's like, yes, it is, but it is so it's
so easy.
It's a lot of it in our society, in our history.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It seems
terrible.
Like it's like
horrible.
almost like, is this like a natural human phenomenon that just happens to a certain percentage of people?
I don't think it's that it's natural or that it's human. I just think the problem is that it's so easy to do. Like, it's like the only way for humans to guarantee humans don't do it is if we enforce rules to make them not do it. For example, if you let humans
do it,
what
people still do it, like people like still do drugs that are illegal.
I'm saying, like, look at it like this. Like, let's go back in like ancient times when the Mongolians invaded China. And they invaded this one village where they were ruthlessly killing everyone. And they saw like a 12, 13-year-old girl. You think they would have stopped at her compared to like a 30 or 40-year-old woman? No. They would have done her all the same, right?
Yeah.
That's why so many Koreans and Chinese people are part Mongolian. Literally. That's why.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, this is, it's very much so steeped in human history and human biology. If anything, our rape genes never really fully faded out. That's really the big problem because, like, think about it. Like, a lot of our greatest civilizations were founded on raping, pillaging, murder, conquest, killing.
I was thinking about courting somebody,
It's about conquest.
Courting somebody is just like rape with extra steps.
Well, it's about resources.
You have to talk somebody into the act.
Yeah, it's about resources. It's about energy. It's about resources like money, cattle, property, food. Like access, storage.
That's the problem. We have these fucking minds that like think in like terms of what happens
Scarcity.
when we die.
Scarcity.
And then we have fucking
Fear.
animal instinct still.
What did Yoda say? Fear of not having enough, or fear of in general.
Fear leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
No, fear leads to
Suffering
anger. Anger leads to hate.
Yeah.
Hate
leads to suffering. Suffering leads to the dark side.
Yes.
Or maybe the other way around. But yeah, what does that like have to do with it?
I'm just saying, it's usually like all the evils of the world boils down to scarcity. We don't really need the 10 Commandments if we understand that. If we understand that all of our most evil, heinous acts are really informed by scarcity. Like, for example, you take a poor man. Why does he murder a child or an innocent woman? It's because they're defenseless.
People don't only do things because of scarcity, though.
Listen, let me finish.
What are all these rich fucks that are doing these sick things?
Let me finish. You got these poor people, right, who say, let me kill this woman or child just so I could have what they have, because I don't have it. And I'm afraid to die. And then you go all the way up. Like, you give that same poor man $1 billion instead of having nothing. And he might end up still killing a child or a woman because he's like, I'm afraid to live my life without knowing what that feels like. I'm afraid to live my existence without knowing what it's like to like kill a woman or a child. It's still some form of fear of abundance.
Yeah,
I'm afraid to die without having like taken a life. I'm afraid to die without killing, like slitting the throat of a beautiful woman. I'm afraid to die without like raping a child and killing them. Like, that's what they're thinking. That's
everything is fear based.
Yeah. So it's really, that's what I'm saying. Like, all the most evil actions are based on a fear, like on a fear of something. So yeah, I mean, like I said, whether they're poor or rich, it's ultimately fear that's going to make them like do fucked up shit. It takes courage to live up to your better self. It takes courage to like, first of all, know all the bad things you've done, face them, and still say, no, I could be better than this. It takes courage to like try to be better than this, and then like face the opposition that says, no, you're just a piece of shit like everyone else. Worse, in fact. It takes courage to beat the guys that are in charge of those guys who tell you that. You know, it's all bravery, it's all courage. So your courage cannot be informed by ego. Your courage has to be informed by love. Like, you know, like, oh, like I'm just afraid of looking bad, so therefore I got to do cocky shit. No, that's never going to be sustainable. Whereas I have a daughter, and if I don't step up to this motherfucker, he's going to kill my daughter. So I will do whatever the fuck it takes. I will stand up to anyone. Like, courage based on love and sacrifice is much more powerful than courage based on ego. Right?
Yeah. And that's where the hero's journey comes full circle, using that same courage for a different thing, you know?
Yeah. So, all right. So if you want to forget the story, the hero's journey for a second, I'm going to give you a life hack, a cheat code. If you really want a cheat code, I just want to, oh, fuck. I lost my train of thought.
Mid-sentence?
Yeah. I had a good cheat code too. Maybe the universe didn't want me to give this to you guys.
It just blocked you off from the thought, yeah.
Yeah. There was a cheat code to hack this whole fucking journey. But yeah, you have to care about it enough. You have to like really care. I guess, yeah. Damn. I that was like
well, that's where a lot of people, you know, we live in an age, there's a lot of people who are very apathetic about things. And that brings a problem because you don't even have anything you want to direct your energy towards, you know? Or they might call it, what's it, adhonia?
Anhedonia.
Anhedonia. Yeah. And a lot of people get like that.
Yeah.
I think, you know, maybe it is a lot of technology and instant gratification. We fall into like a weird pleasure loop, and then our brains get rewired, like our neurotransmitters rewire themselves to seek very short-term bursts of pleasure, and there's no like long-term happiness from it. And it doesn't know how to like live any other way without constant overstimulation. Yeah. That might be a thing.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'm a victim of it in some way. But
dude,
there was always people like that.
One of the greatest decisions I've ever made was quitting porn. Like that was. I didn't, you know what's fucked up? Like, I never was against porn. I never thought there was any harm into it. It wasn't until, like, I went without it that I realized how bad it fucked me up. Like, in hindsight, I was like, that was so fucked up. Like, all it took was 30 days, and not even of no porn. It was 30 days of no coming. That's really what it took. So, and I didn't even do it about, like, it wasn't even about porn. It was just, I just wanted to see what would happen. Because I read all these kooky articles saying, oh, you get, like, psychic powers and blessings and gifts if you just go like semen retention or whatever. And I tried it for 30 days. I was like, whatever. And like it was true, but as far as porn in specific, like I'm not even gonna go into the blessings and the psychic powers and shit, but yeah, like being like once I went through that, I was like, porn is fucked up. Like it's not, I'm not saying it ethically, energetically for you, it's no good.
I still haven't pooped in a few days. I'm getting worried. I even put a suppository up my butt, and I got that stimulating feeling, and my butt muscles started contracting like it's supposed to make it happen, and like nothing came out. And then like I did try it again, and then it's like this little like it just looked like mucus coming out of my butt.
How about this? We're gonna take a. All right. So Brendan, do you still feel depressed? Do you feel better now?
I'm feeling a little bit better right now, I guess.
You know what it is? It's because my energy is very uplifting.
Not always. It can be abrasive to me depending on how I'm feeling.
Well, if you're low,
I feel like the way you get energies is like, okay, say if you're a really depressive, cynical person, and you meet and some guy comes up to you and it's like, "Hi, how's it going?" and they're super cheerful. They kind of fucking annoy the shit out of you. Like if you're really in a bad fucking mood and cynical,
but
and
I'm not cheerful.
Way too happy and cheerful, you get pissed off.
But I'm not like that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying, like, hey, how's it going, guys? That's you. If anything,
but it could be really. Is that how it
yeah,
off? Like happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, you're way more.
I'm definitely not that on the outside.
You try to be.
On the inside, I mean, I'm definitely not that. That's definitely not who I am as a person. Is Mr. Serendipity.
Yeah, but when shit gets real, you like you clam up. Like when shit gets abrasive, you clam up. So that's how I know you're in, like, by nature. Like, by nature, you're actually good. You know, you're happy-go-lucky. Because when shit does get raw and real, that's when you react adversely. Whereas for me, I'm the opposite. When shit gets happy-go-lucky, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of gross. But when shit gets like abrasive and real, I'm like, all right, let's go. What do you got for me? You know, like, that's when I feel alive. I'm like, because that's real life to me. Because I'm like, dude, yeah, you know, it's nice when things are nice. I get it. I love it when things are nice. Don't get me wrong, but you can't act like that's forever. You can't act like that's going to be like life forever. You can't act like, yes, this beautiful moment will just never end, will it? Nope, it won't. Yes, it will, you fucking idiot. And also, don't get me wrong, I also get pissed off when things are bad and people around me act, oh, things are going to be bad like this forever. Things are going to be terrible forever. It's over. We lost. I'm like, shut the fuck up, you fucking miserable bitches. Like, no, things are never going to be this bad forever. I just hate it when people act like it's going to be something forever. It's not. That's what
It's like that a lot of the time. It can feel like that though.
I don't like feeling like that. I don't like it when other people feel like that, because to me it's like a delusion. That's stupid. If anything,
it's like also the same thing goes if you're in love and you think you're gonna be in love forever.
But it's never like that. And I think, like, really to be wise in life is to understand nothing is forever. Not the good, which is sad, but not the bad either, which is uplifting. Like, you have to look at things from a higher dimension. You can't just look at things from like just such a nearsighted perspective. You know, you have to look at like what comes after things. Yes, things are good, but they will be bad. Yes, things are bad, but they will be good. Like, I hate it when people just keep trying to keep things good or keep trying to keep things bad.
What about the Schwangel album? It's called Nothing Remains, but Nothing is Lost.
It's a lot of things, dude. There's so many people that are way smarter than us that would say the exact same thing, you know? Nothing is forever. Not the good times, but not the bad times. It's the points in between that is the divine. That is the God. That is the godly. That is what you have to focus on. And it's possible to embody the middle. You don't have to embrace the extreme ends. Enlightenment isn't about going towards good. And it's not
like
going
the
to...
Taoist says, when you're unenlightened, you chop wood, carry water. When you become enlightened, you chop wood, carry water.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, my sponsor tells me that all the time.
Yeah, hells yeah, dude. Dude, like, here's how I know that I'm doing all right with my quote unquote spirituality is because I look at a lot of people having a spiritual awakening. What do? They quit their jobs. They try to like move to Bali or like Hawaii or like Indonesia, somewhere in Indonesia. And I'm like, you fuckers, like, you guys are trying to run away with your shit. Like, you guys are trying to take this gift and like steal it away and like run away from like this. Like, you know, I'm like, fuck you. No, I'm going to stay right here with my new perspective, with my new sense of metaphysical self, and I'm gonna stay right here. I'm not afraid of any of it, you know. I've eaten this shit. Like, I've seen the worst. Like, I mean, yes, there probably is much worse to see, but it's not gonna scare me because I know that never ends, just as the amount of good never ends either. It could get exponentially better just as much as it could get infinitely exponentially worse.
Or as Hare Krishna says, you have to remain the same whether in good or bad.
I also know, like,
it's remain completely like one with Krishna, to where you are not affected by bad things or good things, pain or pleasure. It's also no difference.
Also, I do know it's like just the way the scales work. Like, let's say you receive the greatest blessings in life, right? But you will also receive the greatest demons. You know, the greatest burdens.
You think it has to go in both ways?
Yes.
I just want you to tell me something like this. He's like, it's like to be an alcoholic is a handicap, but to be a recovered alcoholic is like it's like you get an unfair advantage. And I'm like, how so? He's like, well, like, alcohol's very sensitive, and he's like, you know, they go through really extreme emotions, really high highs and really low lows, and a lot of people. But the thing is, if you can go to the lowest of the low, that means you can go that much higher. So if you're a recovered alcoholic, you have a much higher range of emotions once you're actually in control of them.
Yo, what if I went to a meeting with you?
You can.
So here's what I would say. It's like, well, I would say, like, I'm here to support my friend Brendan, and
okay, there are open meetings and closed meetings. So open meetings for anyone who wants to just come in and you can, you know, whatever. I'm here just like, you can say I'm here to watch or you're allowed there just to look at their program.
Cool.
But there's most meetings are closed meetings, and those are for people who are alcoholic or have the only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking.
Right.
So yeah, you can technically just say, yeah, I have the desire to not drink and lie, and still have the desire.
It's only going to appeal to the most desperate people anyway.
Yeah, it's not going to the program. You can go to an open meeting and it's or you can say, I don't want to drink today, right? That's all you have to do. So a desire to not drink that day. Right. That's all you need to be in I would say to be in
I would show up to a meeting and I would say I would show up sober, and I'll be like, I'm here to support my friend Brendan, and I'm just gonna try to maintain a higher vibration and a good frequency. So
I don't think anyone wants to hear that. Okay, but you can say whatever you want to say, it doesn't matter. But I don't know.
What do people want to hear?
Nothing. I don't
exactly.
know. They don't. They're there for a meeting. No, because
they just want to be around a bunch of other addicts and talk about how miserable life is for them.
No, it's not like talking about addiction. It's not like on TV shows and shit like that. It's mostly stories of hope. So if you have a speaker, it's them talking about how they recovered, and they tell their story about how bad it was, and you have something to relate to. It's like, oh shit, it got that bad for me too, but they're doing great now, and they said their life is good, and they look like they're doing great, so now I have more hope. And they talk about how they recovered, how their progress through the steps and all that shit. And then you can go around the room. People are like, yeah, I remember when I did this, and then it's stories about recovery. You don't just tell shit war stories. We call those war stories.
Yeah.
We try not to do that. So it's not about talking about all the shit things you did. It's more about recovery.
Damn,
that
Brendan,
makes sense.
You're such a scenester. When it comes to like bike messaging, punk rock, like the music scene, or even AA, you're like all about the scene.
What do you mean?
I mean, you know so much about the scene.
It is a scene. You're right. It is weird. It's a totally different fucking scene.
It's a culture.
Scene, it's also kind of culty, but it's not really a cult. But like everything is a cult.
Everything is a cult.
Yeah, but it is a culture. Yeah, there is definitely a culture around it, and like I'm on a couple of meme sites, and they're like shit post memes.
Imagine drinking so much that you have to sit in a circle and talk about it for the rest of your life.
No, there's like, you would actually like this page.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the memes I see where it's like, imagine drinking so much you have to sit around in a circle.
No, that's not. No, this one is bad. This one is like not politically correct, because one of the founders was called Dr. Bob. So this was called Dr. Bob AF, like as fuck, and it's just he says such fucking like sometimes like racist like kind of like transphobic shit, but it's like the satirical thing is that he's like completely crazy, like conservative, like Jesus, like, and he's like, I don't know, they make fun of people who take Suboxone and shit like that, and I don't know, a lot of people. Okay, I was at a lot of people at meetings now. They changed it used to be like, you have the preamble, which is Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who have solved their problems with alcohol, right? So, but now they say, since to be politically correct, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people that have solved the common problem with alcohol, instead of saying men and women. But sometimes you have like an older guy who's just not having it, and he's just like, nah, you can pick one, man or woman, still like set in their like old school kind of ways about these kind of things.
You know what it is? I think you're fucking lucky. You got hooked to. Actually, no. Actually, alcohol is like the worst drug you could ever. Never mind, forget it.
No, but okay. If this is a real fucking thing, alcoholics who have recovered and are doing
alcohol.
They will say. A lot of people will say, and you don't. They'll be like, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm a grateful alcoholic. Now, why would you be grateful to have to be sitting here for the rest of your life doing these fucking things? Because I guess they found a better way of life than they previously had imagined, since they had an alcohol problem. And then
what I think it is? I think like heroin addicts are the best addicts like in the world, and I think
it's fucking torture.
And listen, I think alcoholics are the worst addicts in the world. You know what I mean? Like they're both very prestigious. Like to be an alcoholic is very prestigious, but to be a heroin addict is also prestigious. Like one's the gold standard of the best, and to be an alcoholic is like the gold standard to be like a piece of fucking shit. But the heroin addicts are very smart, very ingenious. Like they know how to like build things out of like nothing. Whereas like alcoholics just know how to destroy everything.
Yeah, but alcohol, just like any other addict, they're also schemers. like that, just minds will go to scheming in some sort of way if it involves alcohol.
I'm just saying alcoholics are like, they take credit for being so ineffective. Like you just got to stand in awe at how much of a train wreck their life is. Whereas heroin addicts, you're like, how are you not dead, man? Like it's been like
that
30
shit preserves you, man.
Exactly.
You could live the rest of your life as a heroin addict if you take care of yourself. With alcoholism, you will develop cirrhosis of the liver and have a bunch of other different medical problems that will slowly kill you.
Honestly, here's a good scenario, right?
For a long time.
Let's say,
unless your veins get, the veins go first.
Let's say there was a zombie infestation. The alcoholics would be the first to die, but the heroin addicts would like survive, and they would keep surviving.
Well, yeah. Well, also, if you have an alcoholic that's drinking that much and just stop. Like you could stop a heroin addict from doing heroin and they will suffer, but they'll get through it if they are forced to. But an alcoholic will just die during that period unless they're medically treated. So if something apocalypse thing happens and there was no booze and there was no way to medically detox,
there will always be booze, though. Let's admit that there will always. There will always.
Just let something ferment for a while. It's so fucking. That's why it's the oldest fucking.
There will always be booze. Like if there was a zombie attack, and like. Within 2 months,
you just gotta let something rot enough. A fruit, any type of fruit, or
Brendan. Let's put it this way: let's say you were truly like a physical alcoholic.
You can make booze in a toilet in jail.
Brendan, let's say you are a physical alcoholic where you're going to die without booze, right? And there was a zombie attack, and like we were holed up in this apartment because it was just a swarm everywhere. And I'm like, Brendan, I have like frozen vegetables. I have some fruits.
It would take too long for it to ferment and be ready before I went through acute withdrawals if I was drinking that much to get those type of withdrawals.
What if I had some rubbing alcohol and mixed it with like juice or whatever?
Then you'd go blind. But yeah, that's how you go blind. There was this crazy story. So the liquor store I would go to in Texas, right? Which I got like 30% off. I don't say that's a good thing because it's probably just helped me be more fucked up. But I would go there, and during COVID, I'd buy my little nips, my packs of nips, and then he'd be like, "Here, you want a hand sanitizer?" And it would be a bottle of hand sanitizer in a nip bottle. And I'm like, "Yo, don't give that to me, because I'm going to be fucked up one night and going through my shit like, oh shit, I have another one, and then drink that bottle of rubbing alcohol and go fucking blind. Why would you put it in a nip bottle?" You're serving booze to alcoholics, and you're giving them one bottle out of the little bottles that they have. One of them is rubbing alcohol. They're drinking nonstop all day. You think they're thinking about their hands that much? Come on. Like it was so crazy that they were selling rubbing alcohol in those little nip bottles. Like not selling them, like giving them away during COVID at the liquor store. Like, I'm gonna mistake in this. I'm gonna be blurry and drunk. I'm just gonna pull out whatever bottle and think I have an extra fucking little nip on me and just.
So could you just what if you those little blackberries that grow around Staten Island? You know what I'm talking about? Like those.
Yeah, I used to pick berries.
What if you had a bunch of those, put them in a jar with like sugar and water, and then just sealed it in a jar and like stored it in somewhere dank and let it ferment? Would it make booze?
Yeah, I think anything becomes alcohol. There was one time I remember I was in my in the car with my dad and family, and it smelled like fucking straight vodka. And I opened up one of the compartments. I guess one of us had left a banana half-eaten with the peel and everything on it, and it was pitch black. It was like the void black, and it reeked of booze. And that was the first time I saw I smelled a fruit from it.
Did you eat it?
I have some plums in my pantry where it's starting to slowly smell more like alcohol.
Beer.
Yeah, alcohol. It just becomes that. The people in jail get a mix of whatever shitty fruit things that they get from fucking.
They put in the toilet.
And they put in the fucking toilet, and it's smelly too. And they just make this fucking jungle juice shit, whatever the fuck they drink. There's always a fucking way. It's crazy. That's what I'm thinking. You probably can't escape. Say if you were a fucking hopeless alcoholic and you wanted to get away. If I just went somewhere where there's no booze, I can't get it anyway. So you go to another planet. No, any fucking planet that's carbon based is going to be able to produce ethanol.
First of all, listen. There's only one way at that point to escape. You can't run. You can't even run to prison, because even in prison, you will find booze. So
they have AA meetings in prison.
So all you can do is look within. You have to look within. Why are you drinking so much? Why does your body need the alcohol? Why does your mind need the alcohol? Why does your spirit?
Well, what they say is that
Why does your spirit need the alcohol?
There were certain things in your past that led you to drink more, I guess, but that's not what makes you an alcoholic. An alcoholic is just the way your body and brain processes alcohol is different than a lot of people, and you lose the ability to control it. At some point, you lose the ability to control.
Brendan, let me tell you something about you, okay? Listen, Brendan.
It's actually like a scientifically proven thing.
Brendan,
almost now.
You've been a heroin addict before, right?
Yeah.
And you've been like a severe. No, I'm just
once I stopped, I never touched it again.
Okay, but you've also been an alcoholic before, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so knowing these two things,
I
right?
always picked it up again.
Here's the thing. This is gonna sound fucked up, but like the more prosperous the world gets, quote unquote prosperous, like with technology and utopia, the worse off you are going to be. However, the more chaotic and the more fucked up and the more degenerate the world gets, like Mad Max shit, the more apocalyptic it gets, the better off you will be. That's just the way it is. Like, you will thrive in that world, but you will not thrive in like a utopia.
Yeah, but look at Fallout. Everyone's like, there's booze and chemicals everywhere that you can take.
You would do good in Fallout. You would not do good in Star Trek. Like in Star Trek world, you would not do good, but you would do good in a Fallout world.
There's probably alcoholics up there. I've seen they have bars and shit on that.
Yeah, but they could afford to have it because the people. First of all, Star Trek world didn't happen until all the degenerates were killed off.
I don't really know much about Star Trek, so.
Oh, all right. I'm just saying, like, yeah, like you would thrive, like if there was a zombie invasion, if there was like.
I gotta take insulin.
What?
I gotta take some insulin.
Take some insulin. All right. So anyway,
Hello
Brendan.
again.
Oh shit! Did the joint burn out? Did we smoke with the rest of that joint?
I didn't smoke any of it.
I guess I smoked it. Shit, that sucks.
It looks like you have a clip.
Yeah, that's all good. Anyways, now we're talking about bike ride. Yeah, a bike ride we want to plan out, a bike ride we want to do, which I think would be very productive for Brendan and his sobriety. Honestly. You should do it.
I don't know. I'm not making a full commitment right now.
Yeah, it's all
wake up
good.
and do my prayers and see where the day takes me and feel out with intuition.
Yeah, man.
That's what I did today.
What, you prayed?
I wake up and I, do the third step prayer, which is, God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and do with me as you will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, so I better do your will. Take away my difficulties, so that victory over them may bear witness to those I might help of your love, your power, and your way of life. May I do your will always.
Okay. Now,
And then you can go further and you really ask that your thoughts be separated from fear, selfishness, self-seeking, self-centeredness, and anger, and direct my thoughts to what you would have me be. So you pray like that in the morning. So you wake up every day, because that's like one day at a time. You turn over your will.
all right. So can you say in a different way, a different prayer, but slower than you said the last one? Can you tell us the serenity prayer?
Oh, that's God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I think that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think the most important part about that is the wisdom to know the difference. That's the hard part to get. You can have a lot of courage and do some stupid shit, or you can have a lot of fear, and not do shit.
Yeah.
Or do shit out of fear.
That's what
Knowing
I'm saying.
the difference between what you can't change and what you can change would be a great thing to have.
Yeah. So here's the deal, guys. You have to know, you can't change. You can't control what happens to you. You can only control how you respond. It's really what it boils down to. Like, too many people think, oh, if I have the right job, if I have the right partner, if I have the right amount of money, if I have the right drugs, if I have the right physique, if
Also,
I have
responding is different than reacting. Most
Yes,
people
yeah.
react.
100%. Most people.
I know. I react a lot. You know, it takes forethought to respond.
Yes,
that's
you're
like
right.
you have to consider something instead of just going. Ah! You know, if like something touches your arm and it feels like it's a bug, you react. You go, well, it's like an instinctual thing.
I mean, there is a guy that was like laughably, he laughed at me when I said that. He was like, oh, so you're going to discount all of human history that evolved because of our ability to react to things? And I'm like, all right, fine, fair enough. But maybe we've reached the point in our human development where
Those are training wheels.
Maybe we're overreacting.
Those are training wheels.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, it gets you going. Yeah, it has to start somewhere before you learn. You need time to learn things logically. I think our brain needs time.
And then you need to learn how to unlearn things. So that
that's the hard part, because we're still right now, humanity, if there is like an evolution in consciousness, we are in between. So we have we're able to like have spirituality and ideas and like try to transcend ourselves, but we're still being dragged down by our instincts, and our instincts are more powerful now, because now we don't just have the instinct for food, sex, and water. We develop like our instincts go astray. They talk about this in the recovery program. It's everything that can be done wrong is instincts gone astray, which is when an instinct overreaches its usefulness.
Like fear.
It overreaches its usefulness. So now you're not just instinctively eating; you're impulsively eating, instinctually, or like say you're not, saving money is a good thing, but hoarding money is a bad thing.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a difference. It's like
What do you think the cure is to hoarding money?
I don't know. That's not my problem.
No, I
I've
mean,
not had enough money though. I've never hoarded money.
If you had to guess,
What?
you want to know?
Oh no, that's a problem I don't really have.
You want to know what the yeah, but when you do have the problem, because ideally you will eventually have that problem. So here's what the Jews do, and I respect the Jews' opinion on money because they apparently seem to be very good at it. They're just good at money. Anyway, this is what I'm very impressed with by the Jewish culture, is because they actually teach their children for the past 2,000 years. Jewish parents taught their children what to actually do with money. And it has a lot to do with math.
Oh, yeah, I've heard you say this. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. It's like, imagine for every like $10 you get, you give 10% to God, you give 10% towards charity, like giving, to your friends and family. Then you put 20% towards investing, and then you put another 10% towards your own personal savings, like if you get injured or if your car breaks down or some shit, like you're going to have to address some emergencies in your life. So that's why you put 10% into your personal savings. And then you have 50%, and that's what you spend on whatever you want. Hookers, blow, drugs, bike parts, car stuff, whatever you want, rent, bills, food. That's your spending money. So you just got to remember 50% of it goes to other things, and the other 50% of it, you do whatever the fuck you want. That's with every dollar you get, every cent you get, every $10 you get, every $1,000 you get. And I thought that was brilliant. The fact that like parents in a certain culture taught their children this for like thousands of years, literally, was so inspiring to me, because like that was such a huge problem. I'm like, I look at Americans, the average American, and the way like their parents treat money in front of their own children. I'm like, you guys are fucking idiots. Like, you guys have no idea what the fuck you're doing with resources. Like, you look at money still like it's pieces of paper. You don't understand that money is nothing but an abstraction of energy. It's nothing but an abstraction of stored energy. So it's like the way you're treating money, it's like you have money diabetes. Like you're just incapable of like converting that into fat, or like converting that into storage. Like you just have to like burn it right away, or you're just incapable of storing it to the point where it's like you're allergic to money. Like that's financial diabetes to me. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's people in the world where there's like nothing wrong with them physically, but they just can't help but gamble.
Yeah, money isn't even, you can use money for good.
Yeah.
Most people choose not to.
It's
just any type. It's power. It's just raw power that you can use for good or evil. And people are like, oh, money is evil. It's like, that's only because you use power for evil.
But this goes back with the Tao. Like, for example, like fat can be used for good. Fat can be used for evil. Like if you're a fat ass fuck, You can use that. You could use that stored energy for good, but you could also use that stored energy.
It'd probably take a lot longer to die if you're stranded on an island, right? Isn't that true, right?
Yeah.
So the fatter you are, the longer you would take to die of starvation, right?
Yeah, but also the faster it would take for you to lose that weight, because then your body reaches ketosis and then it starts burning your fat reserves. But yeah, if you're a fat fuck, yeah, you're gonna live a lot longer.
Yeah, well, only in that instance, like starvation. Is that really how it works? Your body starts eating fat. So if I started stranding,
well, first your body
so
is used to eating sugar, right? That's its initial favorite food, which is the whole trick behind.
You go through some minor sugar withdrawals at first. You don't know what it is. You'll just be irritable.
No, those sugar withdrawals are actually very insane. I knew this because I'm on ketosis, right? Mostly. And one weekend, I ate birthday cake and a whole pack of Oreos and all that, and dumplings with rice coverings. Dude, that Sunday or Monday night, I went through keto flu, which is like, I told you about it. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that was terrible. So that's how I knew, like, the body, when it comes to addiction, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's drugs. It doesn't matter if it's carbs. It doesn't matter if it's sugar. It doesn't.
They have a Love Addicts Anonymous, and I just want to find one and go to one just to see what the fuck is there. What's going on?
I really
here.
do think physiologically, mentally, and spiritually, we could get addicted to anything.
Yeah.
And that is the true nature where, that's the scariest part about that, right? Like, listen, to all of you.
Addiction is the addiction to be alive.
To all of you listening, like, yes, you should be scared because you can, in fact, become addicted to anything. Even this podcast, even my voice, even my energy, even Brendan's energy, like anything in the world, anything in your perceivable reality, you can become addicted to. It could become like sniffing diapers, eating ants, like touching your dog's shit, like literally, like it could be anything. Like, just be mindful. So what does that tell you is that the universe is mental and that your addictions are ultimately rooted in your mentality. So if you are in control of your mentality, the less likely you're going to become addicted to, like, heavily addicted to shit. I mean, to be honest, I consider Brendan lucky that he's addicted to alcohol and not like slitting throats. Like, there's probably guys out there. Like, I live in El Salvador. And luckily, I live in El Salvador because I'm addicted to slitting throats. And there's plenty of people that go missing in El Salvador. So, like, I could just, go out to the rainforest one night. If I see a kid, I just go up to them and slit their throat. Like, I'm just what I do. I'm addicted to it. Yeah, I really think you can get addicted to anything you can force your will to. So it's really about being mindful. Just be mindful of what you do. For example, I'm addicted. Well, I've conquered a lot of addictions. For example, I've conquered porn addiction, which is a thing that plagues a lot more men than those men care to admit. That was a big thing. I'm really trying to think of an addiction that I can't kick. All right, so one thing that I'm still addicted to is Facebook. I'm addicted to Facebook. I'm addicted to fucking posting on Facebook. Another thing I'm addicted to is alienating from my family. I feel so much safer. Like, I mean, it's not that I'm afraid of anyone in my family. I think they're all good people, or like they have good intentions. It's just when I'm closer to my family, like, the more I rely on my family, the weaker I feel. The less I rely on my family, the stronger I feel. I feel like a lot of listeners can relate to that. But besides that, I have no other fears for my family aside from like the standard awkward shit. But that's just all family interactions are awkward, especially when they're like semi-distant relations. I mean, that's the ironic part, right? Like, even when you're even your closest family members are going to still feel awkward around you because, like, you could try to meet other quote unquote normal people, and it's like, yeah, this is the girl that, like, I shoved her face in like cake. I fucking pissed in her shit. Like, oh, we did horrible things to each other. Like, yeah, whatever. I'm just saying, like, these are also things you have to consider. But, like, all right, the main thing is I respect people for the complexity, but ultimately I view every single person as like just one soul living out different lifetimes, different bodies And I know that's very disturbing to a lot of people, you know, to like adopt that perspective, but I don't care. I really do think the world would be better if we all just realized we were all the same soul beneath, and the soul is immortal, an immortal essence, an immortal thing that carries on not memories, emotions, or ideas, but knowledge. Like, Brendan,
Yeah.
if you died, what's the only thing you could take with you?
I don't know.
Knowledge. And
I don't know if that's
and
true.
but that's what my intuition tells me. My intuition tells me that when we die, the only thing is that you can take. I can't take my bikes with me, my cat. I can't take my friends. I can't take my shit. I can take.
It makes sense to me, like that.
Yeah.
We incarnate on purpose to learn different lessons and go through different things in life.
I can't take my memories with me, but the only thing I could take with me when I die is knowledge and energy. So that is what I try to like accumulate, is just knowledge and energy. The more knowledge I have, the energy I have. Like money, things, friends, like, yeah, they're great. But lovers, they're great. But I can't take them with me when I die. Even family, like if I had kids, I can't take them with me when I die. No, the only things I could take with me after I die is knowledge and energy. Nothing else. And that's what I should focus on. That's what you should focus on. That's what all of us should focus on. I mean, we're all still going to have kids. Like, first of all, I think if you did focus...
I don't know if I'm going to have kids.
I'm just saying, if you did focus on nothing but knowledge and energy, that's automatically going to attract mates. Like, whether you're a woman who does this or a man who does this, like, prioritizing knowledge and energy is going to make you high vibrational. And when you're high vibrational, a lot of people want to come and have sex with you. You know, like, it's just true.
It's just attractiveness, magnetism.
Yeah, the Beatles felt this, you felt this, I felt this. The Rolling Stones felt this. Einstein felt this. Like, when you're like at that high frequency, high vibrational state.
Did Einstein get a lot of pussy?
I'm sure he did. What about Oppenheimer? He got some pussy, right?
I'm pretty sure he's gotten some in his life. I don't know.
I think smart men are like prone to getting pussy.
Yeah, but some smart men are more like, more not celibate. What's the word for it? More moderate, and they're like sexual.
Also, I just want to say, like, I'm a guy that's had a lot of partners, right? However, I would, whatever. All I would say is, like, I would not look at myself as greater than a guy who's had like 2 or 3 partners but fucked them like thousands of times. I think that's like equal. You know, I think it's like the same thing. Like, I don't. It's not really about.
I don't think it's a competition anyway.
Exactly.
Though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. It's not like a competition.
Like something like you know, it's not like
let's say you had a guy who fucked 1,000 different women one time, as opposed to a guy who fucked the same woman 1,000 times. I think they're about equal. You know, like I think it's like the same amount of, like, you know, fucking. Like I don't look at, like,
some people are completely celibate. It's crazy.
That's too. You know, like,
and not.
I think the guy who's fucked like 5 different
on purpose.
I'm just saying. I think the guy who's fucked 5 different women, as opposed to the guy who's fucked like with the same woman 5 times. Like, I think that's equal. You know, honestly, because I view everyone as the same soul, living different lifetimes, different bodies. So yeah, ultimately, it's like the same shit.
I wonder if it's because they pledged a celibacy that, like, priests became like attracted to little boys. Why did that happen? Why do you think that happened?
Well, a lot of reasons. On a material level, there's the property aspect, but on an energetic level, there's the exclusivity aspect.
Why priests?
Why do I talk like this, guys? You guys should be paying me to be like, what the fuck? Anyway, what are you saying? Why priests?
Click to pay.
Yeah. Why priests? Right, because priests were the ones that were actually teaching the poor motherfuckers how to read, how to, like, speak Latin, how to, like, read Latin.
Yeah, but how's it happening in modern times?
Because in modern times, the priests are the ones still teaching those poor little black and Latino boys how to read English, how to speak English. You know, the priests are the only.
I mean, it happens in America, just regular fucking Catholic churches.
No, Brendan. No one does more than the church in America for the poor, honestly. Like, I could
Christian churches. It's mostly Christian, like, not Catholic.
That's not because of the fault of the other religions is because poor people have a weird bias. They trust Christian churches, and well, I'm not talking for other countries. All I know is America. In America, the poor people, for some reason, trust Jesus churches more than like a synagogue or a mosque. Like they don't trust Islam or Judaism as much as they trust Christ for some reason. I don't know why. I don't
say if you had no religious upbringing, right, and you just like thought like I want to find God and finally started thinking about religion in the first time in your life, right, as an adult, right? Would you go into a mosque first? No, you go to what you see,
honestly,
Christian church.
This is gonna sound.
If you didn't have any religion,
this is gonna sound racist.
You go to that one.
This is gonna sound racist at first, but
you're gonna say born into Judaism.
You're gonna say this. I'm gonna say people would say this is racist at first, but I'm gonna say this is how it goes. I think different ethnicities have different paths towards spiritual enlightenment. I think the white people,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
The black people, the Asian, the Latinos. Well, the Latinos are weird because they're like a mix of white.
Also, you think about like the typical like solemn, boring like white people church. Okay, stand, and then the Lord said, and then you see like black churches. It's like
no. That's unfair. First of all, there's so much richness to white spirituality. All right, there's the Celticism. There's the fucking like the pan. No. There's also the fucking the paganism, like the richness of like, you know, like the whole Germanic fucking pantheon and the Greek mythological pantheon. Like, do not discredit the white people's fucking idea of their own.
I'm just talking about churches in America, and a lot of it is I feel like culturally,
right, so
like black people are more oppressed. So then
that's not white people. What that's really rooted is with the Jews, because the Jews are the ones who made Jesus. And Jesus is the one who made Christianity. Because no matter how Christian you are, you can never denounce the Jews' part in all that, right?
Yeah, true. That was like the Old Testament.
Exactly, which is why the Jews will always be a thing and they'll always have a seat at the table. Because, I mean, think about it. The Jews are the ones who made... Jesus was a fucking Jew, for fuck's sake. I mean, you know, like, you can't deny these things. So Jews will always have a seat at the table. Christianity forces a seat at the table. And Islam, well, Islam and Buddhism are their own things too, you know, because they all acknowledge, like, a deity, the one get. So when it comes to all the religions, it's like you said, they're all different fingers pointing in the same direction.
Yeah, sure.
That's how I look at it.
It's different, but I like how Ramdas says, it's like every path is a trap. So every path you take, like, you know, you can become a meditator, but then you're addicted to meditation. Yeah. So instead of you become addicted to the path and not like it's like taking a raft across the river. Like you have to get off that raft eventually.
Like Alcoholics Anonymous.
No, you just keep doing that for the rest of your life.
No,
you just live that life.
No, you got to get off that raft too.
Not if you have alcoholism.
Yes.
Because it can creep back. No, but you're still living that spiritual life.
Dude. All right. How about this?
You don't leave.
What would all those AA guys do if, like, tomorrow we realized it was just, like, chemically impossible to create more alcohol? Then what? What would alcoholics do?
Well, okay. This is why.
No. Don't explain it. I just want to.
Not letting me answer it.
Just answer the question.
I'm answering it. Let me answer it. Step one is actually two parts. It says we admitted we are powerless over alcohol with a dash, and then that our lives have become unmanageable. Now, stopping the alcohol does not get rid of the unmanageable part of the spiritual disease of alcoholism.
I get that. So they would go through hell, basically.
No, they would have to continue working this 12 steps as a spiritual program to stay attached, connected to their higher selves, their higher power, so that they could live a manageable life. Otherwise, they will make it unmanageable with the alcohol or not.
Yes.
You know, they will just start doing things and like they'll just get into shitty situations and shitty patterns. That's why they do the steps. You know, if it was just removing the alcohol and the problem's fucking gone. Alcohol's a symptom, they say. So they have to change their whole way of being, which is a more spiritual, less selfish way of life. Because selfish, self-seeking, self-centeredness, fear, anger, delusion.
What if you found something that used the same principles of what was greater, that wasn't about alcohol, it was about, say, like,
the other fucking 300 12-step programs.
Yeah, like being a good like swordsman, or being a good kung fu guy, or being a good like athlete or whatever.
Well, the 12 steps can be practiced by anybody.
Exactly.
Most people wouldn't want to do it unless they had a problem that they were going to die from.
But you would be surprised how many different traditions actually do tap into the same sensibility. Like martial arts, for example.
You got to turn your will over to God, right? And that's just a decision. Then you got to do an inventory of completely fearless moral inventory of yourself without being deceitful. And then tell somebody everything about your life, every dark nook and cranny. Then you have to write down anyone you've ever harmed, make amends to them. Then continue to turn your will and your life over to the care of this higher power every single day. Take an inventory every day of yourself. Make sure you try to avoid self-seeking, self-centeredness, and then completely try to consider and help others more than anything. So your constant thought of others, like, so, which in that case would be, let's say, if you're a cocaine addict, you'd help other cocaine addicts that are in trouble, or other alcoholics, or, and so. And then that's just the way you are supposed to live your life from then on. It's not something that stops. You're like, oh, I did it, I'm done, I can go back to being a selfish prick again. You have to completely change your whole personality to a different spiritual living person. No longer thinking materialistically. You gave your life to God. It's God's in control now. All you got to do is the footwork, and then you go out and then you completely clear your karma. Get to the root of your shadow, and then you continue to watch out for things like that. And anytime fear creeps in, you ask God to remove it. Anytime anger creeps in, you ask God to remove it. You check to see if you've done anything wrong to harm anyone that day, and you make amends. If you've done anything, whether that's hurting somebody, getting loud with somebody, doing something, and you have to really keep tabs on yourself. It's a constant effort. It's a constant trudging of trying to live on a spiritual basis, even though all your instincts sometimes cry out for you to do things in a self-seeking way. You're trying to go from thinking about yourself to thinking about others more. You're going from Sith to Jedi thinking. And it's a big change, because really, if you're living life as an addict or alcoholic, you're probably living life very Sith Lordy. You have to be deceitful, you have to be cunning, you have to be selfish, you have to be self-centered in order to continue to do these things. So the only way out of that is to completely flip, go to Jedi. Yeah, I guess.
Well, that being said, that's a beautiful place to end the episode.
Yeah, most people don't want to do that. They're just doing it because they're going to die if they don't, so they're just trying to do that because they're afraid of dying. So what do you reason? These are not people who are like, I want to be spiritual. These are people who are like half dead in a fucking hospital bed, and these guys like, listen, how about you try this, because you're going to fucking die. And if they're, oh, dude, fuck it, and they don't believe it's going to do anything. All these people, most of them are atheists when they join these programs, or at least agnostic, and they don't think about, I want to live it. They're thinking about, getting the girl, getting what they want out of life. They had other plans. Their plan wasn't to turn their will and their life over to the care of God. Anyway. That's not fucking anyone. Nobody wants to fucking do that.
Anyway, 99, folks.
We want to do what our ego wants to do. Good night, everybody.